Okay, well, we're just waiting for Rao to get back from getting a drink of water to start the technical update. We have a pretty full docket today. I think Tomislav's going to give us a demo of the memory leak fix, and which is great news. That means it's another important step for making it a smooth transition to external validators. We are also going to talk about some projects that the co-op is spearheading for Earth Day, and try to connect the dots. I know a lot of people still don't quite see the climate change angle. So I will I'll try to speak to that directly.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
It is St. Patrick's Day. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Wasn't sure if you said that already.
I didn't. I wasn't that green.
Oh.
Well, I am wearing green, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. So.
All right. Rao, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Let me share my screen. So I think everybody sees my screen now. Welcome to Community Update 163. The status on the mainnet, I think as of right now, it is still running over 10.0, but Gurinder is should be updating that to 10.1 soon, like today, tomorrow, in that time frame. And just to remind people that basically has some improvements to the memory, but primarily it's the key value store usage is really what is in this version. And we've been testing that on the testnet for a while. So it's time to move it on to the mainnet. And it was also running on the mainnet on the observer nodes, I believe 1 or 2 observer nodes. So 10.1 will be there on the mainnet. The testnet currently is running 10.1, but we will be soon moving the 0.11.0 alpha onto the testnet. Now, I linked to the current release of 0.11.0 alpha here, but we may have one more update, which is this, that Will is working on an update to the proposed script so that we can move this onto the testnet. So that's where we are with that. I had been talking about memory leak on the mainnet for the last several weeks that I'd been highlighting that there was an issue where we were seeing number of deploys drop ever so slightly over the span of a week. I think we were, the per day deploys were reducing by about 100 or something like that. So Tomislav has resolved that issue, and that's in this pull request 3353. And actually what I will do is I'll have him demo that and explain that feature, explain that fix as to what he found now, and then I'll go with the rest of my update on the block merge as to where we are, if that's okay with everyone else. So I'm going to stop sharing and hand over control to Tomislav so that he can speak to this memory leak fix. And then I'll continue. Tomislav?
Yeah, hello everyone. So first I want to say for this release 0.10.1, the update is with the key value store. So now RSpace is running on a new abstraction of key value store, and optimizations was done on startup of the node. So we need to initialize our in-memory DAG representation, and previously we was reading the whole database in the memory. So now it's much more memory used to initialize. And I want to share, because I'm very happy to show that finally this memory leak is resolved, because this is something that is following us like from the start of mainnet. So so this is the result. Node is now running with 1.5 gigabytes of memory, and we still see that with the regular garbage collection, which is done automatically, memory drops to the minimum, and this is a little less than 200 megabytes. So we are now, you know, in much better position to use memory for optimization, like real optimization and speed up. And this is the PR, which also has like much longer running time for Node, and the result is still the same. So now I'm in process of pushing this to our block merge branch, because it's pretty much different from our dev branch. And yeah, I'm very happy for that. So that's all from me.
So Tomislav, while you're on that, did you want to speak to how we intend to get it on the mainnet eventually? Meaning there'll be some delay. It's not going there immediately. But you want to speak to that? Or? Oh
yeah, this 0.11 alpha release is now on the testnet, and the first step is to combine block merge changes to our main branch, which we call dev branch, and release this as the same way how we are now running mainnet in a round robin style, so that we can check that all code is running as expected, and then we can basically just enable block merge feature. So this is a procedure that we will follow.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Tomislav or comments before I restart or share my screen on the rest of the tech update? Okay. Thank you, Tomislav.
Thanks.
All right. Let me share. Okay. So that's what's going on with that. And as far as the block merge, we continue to make good progress. As Tomislav mentioned, merging the block merge feature branch into the dev branch and resolving any conflicts, all of that is the main chunk of work that's going on at the moment. This one of the things that we're actually Tomislav, I think that's his immediate next task to start on, is to help resolve a bug in the conflict detection that's described here in issue 3349. So it needs some debugging tools or to be created for this, so that we can really understand what's going on. And so Tomislav is going to do that, and then NotZipper is going to fix. He's the one that identified that there's a bug, so that he's going to work, or they're going to work together to resolve that. So that's one of the things that's going to be done.
I must say that these debugging tools will not be something that we can push in the release, but maybe this will be like the first step to do this.
Yeah. These are not. I mean, these are just for the core team, for basic minimal thing they need to get done for now. Eventually, they might lead to something that we could release to the community as something they could use for debugging rolling, things like that. But at the moment, that's not part of the scope. We're just trying to get through this bug so that we can move block merge forward. That's really the focus for now. Then there are a couple of optimization pieces in block merge, and then there are a few others that are not listed here, but basically Tomislav is collecting them as he goes through the code. But these are two things. One is to make merging more conflict detection more parallel is one. And then there was this issue with either optimizing or eliminating channels map to improve concurrency in block validation. Now, this one is a tricky one, and if we do have to eliminate the channels map, which is what at least the thinking is right now, that means that there is some changes to the block data, so it'll have to be a hard fork. So we will be scheduling this with the second hard fork that includes POS updates. What that means is that we may not see the full block merge performance being visible on the mainnet until after the second hard fork. So this is something I wanted the community to understand. We may have block merge code previous or versions that don't include this one, and we will see if we can continue to have them run with the block merge feature enabled, or whether we have to disable the block merge feature for a period of time until we have all of this resolved. So that's kind of where we are on that. And then there are other issues that need to be worked on in the block merge is handling the rejected deploys. And I think Will's PR is ready on this, the 3304. Obviously, a lot of tests and rewriting of tests. And when we look at the 0.67 synchrony constraint, there's even more things we need to change in the test. So there's a lot of work there. This is something that we identified as an issue. Right now, we don't know if this is an absolutely required thing or not, but we continue to look into
this is required.
Mm-hmm.
This is required if you want to have synchrony constraint lower than 99. Because we need to track all the validators' view of the DAG. So,
yeah. So for the basically when we get the 099 version of the block merge, this is one of the things we have to work as part of the 067 list of things to do. But we'll see where that falls in the schedule. So there's a lot of things that need to be done there still in block merge. That's where we are. The other piece that we have started looking into is decentralizing the network. Probably initially have community members run decentralized nodes on the testnet. Probably after the we have to see really when we would be able to enable this. But I was going to say probably after the first fork, but even that may be too early. But we're planning, we're beginning to plan this whereby members can run nodes on the testnet, either out of their home or more preferably probably initially on some kind of a cheap hosted network somewhere that they have access to. And we will we'll see how that works and what kind of issues we're running into, how we make it easy for people. So all debugging that process, if you would, and whatever we need to enable for that decentralization to occur. That's what we're going to work with for several weeks to a couple of months, so that when the code base is ready for external validators, we have the process side of the decentralization piece worked out. And then hopefully that'll make the whole external validators piece a smooth one. So that's where we are. I think this I already spoke to. Pretty much everything else on here I have already spoken to. Are there any questions on any of this for the team?
I just want to add, you mentioned this channel map that preventing us for full speed of block merge. We will definitely have some data about that even before the hard fork, because we need to test this in either way. So we will have some data about that.
Yeah, we're going to be running a separate branch where we would remove that channel map and see what it does or does not do, and then report back on that finding as to what the criticality of that is at that point in time. So, any questions from anybody in the community? All right, thank you very much. I'm going to turn the floor over to Greg.
Well, thank you so much, Rob and Tomislav. I really appreciate the presentation. It is astonishing how much progress we were able to make. So a couple of things. We are launching a program for Earth Day. And Nora, did you want to speak to what it is we're doing? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you're ready for it, go for it.
Of course, yes. Well, this was kind of an idea that Greg and I came up with. But basically, Earth Day is on April 22nd, 2021. So it's coming up next month. And we thought it might be nice for people to make short selfie videos of about 15 seconds or so on the subject of what would Earth say if it could speak. And so if you're interested in making a short video, you can send it to the email address climate@rchain.coop, and we're going to compile these and we're going to post them as probably a compilation on Earth Day. And we're just inviting anybody within the community or beyond to submit a video with their thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That is perfect. And that kind of is a lead into, I know that a lot of people have expressed over since the inception of RChain, how does RChain directly connect to climate change? And I think it really is important to review some of the things that we've talked about. Since 2015, I've made my position on proof of work absolutely clear. Proof of work is not environmentally sound. You can't make it environmentally sound. Today, Bitcoin, this is just Bitcoin, doesn't include Ethereum. Bitcoin is daily using the electricity of Argentina, the entire country. And that's with a few, a few traders. If you were to take Bitcoin up to where everyone who used Visa today used Bitcoin, the volume of transactions would grow by orders of magnitude. And so you would have orders of magnitude more daily usage of electricity. And this doesn't matter whether the electricity is clean or dirty. It's just that the heat dissipation alone would burn the planet to a cinder. That's it. You just can't make proof of work scale. And in particular, the kind of scaling characteristics it has are environmentally unsound. And of course, I'm not the only one saying this. Bill Gates is also saying the same thing. So if we want to make an environmentally sound blockchain, we have to move off of the proof of work algorithms. It's that simple. So at step 0, let's make a blockchain that is environmentally sound. So that's one way in which RChain is connecting to climate change. I don't think anyone wants to go back to a pre-blockchain world. Instead, I think we want to go forward to a blockchain world with richer features, more functions, and more adoption. But if we're going to do that, we have to do that in a way that doesn't melt the planet. That seems to be very basic reasoning. Beyond that, there are many, many applications. So I don't know how many people here are following the climate and coordination call that we run every Friday, but Nora brought a wonderful story to the call. I mean, it wasn't particularly wonderful, but it sort of characterized the problem, which I've been talking about for a long time in very crisp numbers. So with the temperature rise, the tropical zones of the planet will very soon, surprisingly soon, be pretty much uninhabitable just from a temperature perspective. And so we're talking about 40% of the world's population are going to have to move to more habitable temperature zones. So if we take the very conservative estimate of 7 billion people, it's more than that, but if we just take a nice round number like 7 billion people, we're talking, 2.8 billion people are going to be displaced. And if we look at the way the world has been looking at climate change, it will unfortunately be very last minute and very refugee-like. If you then compare those numbers to the kind of disruption that the Syrian refugee crisis created for Europe and the US and a lot of the world, the kind of displacement we're talking about is orders of magnitude greater. This is no joke. The numbers are real. We're talking about massive population shifts. In those kinds of situations, as we saw with the Syrian refugee crisis, as we've seen with the U.S. southern border, both of which are climate refugee situations, and acknowledged so. The issue with refugees in that situation is that they are often unable to prove that they are in fact doctors, lawyers, educators, and so on and so forth. If, however, you had a credential on the blockchain solution that looked like, oh, I don't know, the COVID passport solution, then you could begin to address that problem. Furthermore, getting relief funds to refugees who are unaddressed, right? They don't have a physical address, they're in refugee camps or worse. That becomes very tricky. You don't know who to give relief funds to, whether they are legitimate refugees, et cetera, et cetera. So if they are addressed on the blockchain and that addressing scheme is connected to their identity and their credentials, getting relief funds suddenly becomes a much easier, more tractable problem. Now, there are a number of NGOs and other kinds of organizations which are looking at the use of blockchain for refugee, but this is going to have to scale up to a massive degree when we're talking about the kinds of population shifts that are coming down the pipe. And that's where RChain comes in. RChain is going to be there to help with the scaling. So that's one scenario in which you have a blockchain directly correlated to situations that have already begun to happen worldwide, that need to be addressed, that are creating crises for Europe, the US, and many other parts of the world. Now, on a more positive note, the shift to renewables is going to create the potential for a decentralized smart grid. So to make, this is a simplified version of the story. It's much more complex than this. But essentially imagine that many homes in many parts of the world have solar and are generating perhaps even more electricity than they need. If those homes are able to, within a neighborhood region or even a countywide region, access a grid and have a market for the power, so one home uses more electricity one day than another and is in a deficit, maybe it buys it off of this decentralized grid from another home rather than going to a centralized power distribution solution. So to support such a marketplace, having it tokenized, having the decentralized grid be tokenized is a perfect solution. It allows us to move to a much more flexible infrastructure. Now that's important because with climate change, we're going to see big disruption in terms of the physical infrastructure. not only will the tropical regions become less and less habitable, but the coastal cities will also be under disruption. This is already underway. We're already seeing it on the eastern seaboard in the US and in many other parts of the world. If we move to a decentralized grid, then we now have a flexible infrastructure, right? Rather than going to coastal power plants, we can reconfigure the grid as we need. Nodes can be added, nodes can be taken away. This is sort of the whole point of a decentralized architecture. So there are advances in terms of batteries. So, Elon Musk's work on batteries, but it turns out that the battery technology area has been under huge innovation now for at least a couple of decades. So we're going to see even more and better solutions on the open market, and connecting that to the blockchain so that we can build this decentralized smart grid is a very, very needed solution when we're thinking about the kind of situations that are going to arise. You'll note that in both of these cases, I'm not talking about stopping climate change. I'm not talking about sequestering carbon. I'm not talking about, changing people's diet. All of those things are important, but the truth is, it is too late and we have acted too slowly, and there has been too little in the way of appropriate public education about what's going on. So no matter what we do, we are going to face the consequences. We can probably turn this around, probably, hopefully, but there is no way we're going to avoid the consequences of our actions over the last 150 years. So most of the cases that I'm talking about and that I'm planning for is simply not trying to be too reactive. These are essentially reactive solutions, but it is necessary to be in a position to have responses in place because there is no way to avoid the consequences. In general, and this is something that I have pointed out over and over and over again, climate change is going to be a coordination problem. The response to climate change is going to require coordination, and blockchain is a pivotal coordination technology. Now, I'm sure it will make me personally persona non grata, and it may color RChain. But while I am excited that we're seeing more efforts from governmental agencies, I'm very delighted that we have John Kerry as the climate envoy to the Biden administration. These are wonderful changes. I'm happy that the US has rejoined the Paris Accords. Fantastic. However, that kind of coordination is not going to cut it. It's an important step, and I think participation of many institutions, whether they're financial institutions or other kinds of companies, in moving towards shifting towards climate change technologies and shifting towards those kinds of solutions. That's all great. The truth is, it's going to require a bigger coordination. So in Bill Gates's interview, he was talking about a kind of coordination that exceeds what we saw with the world wars. So there you had, essentially giant swaths of the world's governments working together. When you think about the sort of shift that happens if you have 40% of the world's population displaced in a very short period of time, that's far beyond the scope and the scale that we saw with World War II. So it's the governmental and corporate responses are fantastic. It's great. And we're still going to need grassroots, grounds up, self-organizing capability. And the blockchain, especially RChain, is designed to support that. So the RVote application is a first step in building a wide range of coordination tools that can be used from the ground up. RChat is another example of a decentralized social communication and coordination tool that can be used to do grounds up self-organization. So I've touched on just a few points. There are many, many others. Carbon credits is another example. Tree planting and keeping records of tree planting, that's another. There are many, many other examples, but hopefully that sort of, connects more of the dots for people. So that's a lot of information. I'll stop there and see if there are any questions, comments, thoughts.
Well, I just wanted to say, just to add one more thing, is that I just think it's so obvious that the decarbonization economy is ramping up now in a major way, So it just seems like it would be wise to follow that, not only from a financial perspective, but from a self-preservation perspective.
Yeah,
which, we talk about all the time, but just to say to this group, it's really very clear, and maybe that's clear to me because I do research for the call every week, but yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the ways that I think that, as a community, we have to do a lot to educate people, and at the same time we have to work to connect with other communities that are already wide awake to these issues. So that's sort of on one side of it. But on the other side, even if you forget all the social activism, if you forget all the morality, if you're just a cold-hearted business person, the vast majority of the world's wealth is shifting towards climate change. When you have organizations like BlackRock making this kind of shift, the largest hedge fund in the world making this kind of shift, it is foolish and stupid for an organization like ourselves not to be in alignment with that trend with respect to fundraising. The market BlackRock addresses is measured in the trillions, and that's one hedge fund. The total size of the blockchain market is what, a few hundred billion. So we're it's orders of magnitude more money is shifting to climate change. So if we are aligned that way, just from a cold-hearted business perspective, it is good for our pocketbooks. But Nora points out quite accurately, it's not just about it's not just about what's good for your pocketbook. It's also about, can you breathe the air? Is the area you're living in cool enough for it to be habitable, or is it too hot to be habitable? Is the sea level in your city now so high that you have regular flooding in the main streets of the city? So these are the kinds of things that we're having to think about now, and it's only going to get worse.
I wanted to share just one tweet that I put it in Discord the other day, but this is from Chamath Palihapitiya, who is somebody that I understand is looked up to in tech and finance and other things. And he tweeted in December The people are voting. Climate change is winning and will soon be more important than social networking, search, and mobile phones. Hashtag Tesla. So I guess he was talking about his investment in Tesla. But it's just, yeah, it's very obvious that this is where the world is going, both out of financial and biological necessity. So yeah, I think if anybody is feeling like this is a fringe effort, then they should just do a tiny bit of research. You won't have to look far. And yeah,
you're absolutely right. So to bring it full circle, one of the things that we're trying to do as a part of this awareness raising, both for the membership, but also for the world at large, is this Earth Day promotion. I know Nora took the gender out of it, but the way I originally phrased the question was, if the Earth could speak, what would she say? And I you know, there are many reasons to gender Gaia as female. So
let's have this debate right now. This is the perfect time.
Well,
no, anybody is welcome to reference the Earth in their video with whatever gender they like. Okay, I'll just say that right now.
Perfect. That's perfect. I also want to share that already people are tweeting. John Tomini tweeted that he thinks the Earth would say, "I can't believe I swapped my dinosaurs for these idiots." So it doesn't have.
That's great.
Yeah, to me, it's, you know, it can be pithy, it can be funny, it can be ironic, it can be angry, sad, whatever is you think the Earth would say. So let's try to get this. Yes, I was going to say.
Oh, Raphael is backing you up. Okay, fine.
Well, and it's not only French, but it's also Spanish and German. And
well, I just wanted people to feel comfortable, you know. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I understand. I got it.
I will just say the deadline to submit your video is April 10th. So you have some time, but obviously I made mine, you know, over the weekend in just, you know, a moment. So it shouldn't take you too long. And we really encourage people to participate because Earth Day it's an important holiday. It's really, it's spiritual. It brings people together. It's uniting. It's peaceful. It encourages innovation. It's a great holiday. So it's important that we honor it, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once you've made the video, you can email it to lgreg.meredith@rchain.coop. Ian, could we set up an email just for this?
Well, we can also take them at the climate email, climate@rchain.coop.
Oh, there we go. That's perfect. Email it to climate@rchain.coop. That's a good one as well. Either one will work. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Nora. I appreciate it. Anything else? Anything else we want to cover here? Any questions, comments from the community?
Raphael, did you want to mention the session that you're holding next week?
Yes. Okay. So I have a small announcement, but I'll post it in Discord as well. But so next Tuesday 23 at 10 a.m. UTC, which is 6 p.m. Beijing, we are doing a Dappy plus RChain testnet plus NFT session. So we will do many basic operations with the Dappy name system. Each name is a NFT, and also some other Dappy applications, and it will all be on the RChain testnet. So apparently more than 40 Chinese members will join, and maybe we will be even more. So I'm preparing a new Dappy release for this event, and I'm also doing stress tests on the testnet to make sure that it can handle the load. So that's it.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
Maybe it's time to do a Chinese localization of Dappy.
It's probably a good idea. I would recommend it. Okay. Anything else?
For the week in review, there are some notes in the week in review. I'll be happy just to read them off.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So let's see here. So on last Thursday for the governance committee, the committee members discussed token holders who have Rev locked in custodial wallets on Ethernet and how to best approach this situation. And that same day, Thursday, there was a DApp developer working group. And let's see, the group investigated a choice error in voting and began bootstrap process to enable development on local host. Then on Friday was the climate and coordination. And let's see here, it says, today we discussed the extinction of freshwater fish. 40% of the world's population is in danger of living in zones that are becoming too hot for humans. John Kerry's climate envoy position in the White House, the beauty of local trash pickups, and the discovery of 385 million year old tree roots. We discussed Bill Gates' criticism of the energy requirements for Bitcoin, and Greg explained the developments discussed on the Casper Stand-Up YouTube channel and the societal changing potential of type theory. And Saturday, Dan Conley hosted office hours, and they discussed development of master contract directory to reduce the need to change URIs in contracts. Working group contracts requiring multiple signatures to perform actions was reviewed. There was no Casper stand-up on Monday. And let's see, for the Tuesday's communications working group, they further discussed updating the white paper, finding and hiring the right crypto publicists, non-fungible tokens, and the possible advantage RChain may have, because data itself can live on the chain, and they discussed Earth Day project. For the Dapp Developer Tuesday session, actions in liquid democracies separated into individual row files, bootstrapped of local R node was completed. And let's see here, earlier before this meeting, there was the RChain active member meeting, and the group discussed, once again, non-fungible tokens. Vitalik Buterin on the Tim Ferriss show. Raphael showed a non-fungible token experiment that he's working on. Jim briefed us on development environment setting up for liquid democracy. Set up a node, runs all systems and local contracts, creates a directory of all contracts for use in your code, simplifies the process, and creates a master index of URIs. There would be a community directory and personal directory. And that brings us to now. And that's the week in review. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. That's great. Appreciate it. Okay. Well, I think that about covers it for this week. Please stay safe, everyone. And we'll see you on the other side.
Great. Thank you, everyone.